Omaha's news leader, chronicling the stories and people making a difference in our community. This is KETV News Watch 7's Chronicle.
Good morning and welcome to Chronicle. I'm Rob McCartney. We're now less than 40 days from the election. Many races are getting heated. You've seen the rush of ads on TV. Maybe you got some in the mail. Well, we want to push beyond that and get to the root of the issues and show you where the candidates stand. Today, we focus on the congressional contenders in the 2nd District. The race is a repeat showdown this year. Republican incumbent Congressman Don Bacon will take on Democrat Kara Eastman. Bacon narrowly defeated Eastman back in 2018. This year, Libertarian Tyler Schaefer also joins the ballot. He did not respond to our request for an interview. Well, we begin this morning with the incumbent, Congressman Don Bacon. The retired Air Force general fighting for re-election is confident he'll win that fight, and he says he's also fighting to get more relief for those impacted by COVID-19, doing that as part of what's called the Problem Solvers Caucus.
So I worked with 25 Republicans and 25 Democrats, and we built a compromise bill of $1.5 trillion that has some money going to cities to offset costs or incomes that were lost because of COVID, but it also goes to targeted industries that desperately need it. And it's supposed we have 50 members of Congress, half and half Republican and Democrat. This is how it should be done. And I am one of the most bipartisan members of Congress, and it's going to take that to get us out of this virus.
You're on this Problem Solvers Caucus. Why can't you solve the problem through that caucus?
Well, that's what it just did it. We got all 50 of us. And we wrote that compromise. There's 50 members to the caucus.
Right, but you're
25 Republican, 25 Democrat, and we came together, 50 of us, and built this compromise bill.
Right, you got to $1.5 trillion, but some would say, why not just come up with a little bit more to make the difference up, and therefore you will have something done?
Well, it ended up being right in the middle because the bill that was looked at in the Senate, initially was $1 trillion, but it was actually less than the last bill that was voted on was somewhat less. So this is right in between the two. Here's my view of it, Rob. Let's get partway done. If we come back in 6 months, you need more. Let's talk about it. But to do all or nothing, say we're not going to even pass $1.5 trillion. And our normal budget's $4.5 trillion, right? So this is we've already spent $8 trillion this year because of COVID. So this is another $1.5 trillion. I think it's smart to do what we can now, and if we need to come back later, we do it. But this all or nothing approach is broken. And I think the problem solvers just showed that you can come together, find middle ground.
Let's talk about the vaccine. Convincing Americans to take a vaccine when it becomes available may be an issue. There's a number of parents who say they will not have their children vaccinated because they won't have years of study. There won't be science with years of study behind the vaccine proving it's safe. In fact, there's some polls indicate more than a third of Americans wouldn't get vaccinated. Would you get vaccinated, and should everybody else get vaccinated?
Well, I will absolutely get vaccinated. We can only get a vaccine that has been safely tested. So we want a safe and effective vaccine. And I won't approve of a vaccine that hasn't been through a rigorous testing regimen. Right now, the federal government is not taking testing shortcuts. Every test will be taken for the vaccine. Now, what is being done is all the bureaucracy and all the waiting times to look at applications and those big stacks of paper, they're putting this one right on top of every stack, in the top of the inbox for everyone. So just moving through the bureaucracy faster, but all the tests will be done. So I will definitely take this once it gets approved by the FDA. And I think for now we should say it's optional. We should encourage it, but it shouldn't be mandatory. But we should make it available, particularly to the most people at risk, so those who would want to take it can have it.
Every candidate agrees that health care should be available to everyone, but it also should be affordable. The Affordable Care Act. You said you wanted to work within the current framework to change the ACA, parts of it, yet you support a lawsuit that's in front of the Supreme Court that would get rid of the ACA. It possibly could. Which scenario do you prefer?
I'm going to approve the system we have. 4 years ago, the voters were opposed to ACA. They elected an overwhelming folks of Congress and a president that opposed it. But that's not the electorate today. The electorate doesn't want a drastic change. They want incremental change for the better. So I'm for improving what we have and fixing what's not working. So I want to put more options out there. I have a bill that I support, HR 19, that will lower the cost of pharmaceuticals, and it will also cap pharmacy costs for those on Medicare. It gets generic drugs on the market faster too. I want transparency. I want to ensure that we don't have surprise billing. And in the bills that I have voted on, every single time pre-existing conditions have been guaranteed.
But along those lines, the bill you supported back in 17 did not say, while it protected pre-existing conditions, it did not say, put a limit on how much insurers could charge.
That's not true, Rob.
Okay.
So we wrote it right in the bill. People with pre-existing conditions have to pay no more than anyone else in the pool. But this is how we did it. We took taxpayer money and offset the higher costs of a high-risk person so we could lower their costs down to what everyone else is paying. By doing that, you take the cost out of the pool, and the Congressional Budget Office said that would lower premiums by 20%.
Another big issue this year is reform, racism. There's reform of law enforcement. Do you think reform needs to happen in law enforcement? And if so, how far should it go?
I do. There are inequalities in our society. We're the greatest country in the world, but we can't look past that there are inequalities, whether it's income, employment, incarceration rates, and so forth. But one of the things that I've agreed to do, I've agreed to put $1.7 billion into more police training to ensure that, de-escalation training and things like that. I want to buy 500,000 body cameras and try to make them mandatory everywhere we can, so that there's more accountability there. I believe in a registry for police who have done things wrong and proven wrong, so they just can't go from one city to the next city, so that record goes with them. I also think you got to preserve qualified immunity. Our law enforcement would be sued frivolously from just periodically, and it would drive many of them out of the profession, and it would make our cities more unsafe.
A couple of public opinion polls put the economy as the top issue facing the country, but not all of them do. Gallup, for example, says top concern among Americans is the coronavirus, which we discussed, followed by government and poor leadership being the number 2 issue. Also indicates only 13% of U.S. Americans are satisfied with the state of the nation. That's the lowest it's been in almost 10 years. What's your solution to turn that number around?
Well, first of all, I think we have the right answers for our economy, because that is the number one thing I'm finding in our polling too. Before COVID, we had the strongest economy in 50 years, the highest mid-income wage increases in the history of our country. Just think about the highest in the history of our country for middle income earners for wage increases. And for the first time in 20 years, we saw low income earners catching up with the wealthiest. That was the first time in 20 years. Lowest unemployment in our history for minorities. So who do you trust to bring us back? We have people on the right and left that will not compromise. And the Georgetown has done a study. It shows I am in the top 7% of Congress for bipartisanship. I'm ranked 29th out of 435. So I think it's really about working across the aisle, but staying true to your values. And that's what I've done, Rob.
What should we do about China?
China deserves our criticism. They, for a month and a half, knew about the COVID virus and didn't tell the truth to the rest of the world. When it comes to the economy, China for 20 years has put barriers to our exports to them while we've had an open door. We cannot let that happen no more. And I think our president was right to put our trade on a level playing field. You can't just open up the door to China and say, do business as you please, while they restrict our business. And we cannot do business like we've done the last 20 years with them.
Even if it comes at the expense of Nebraska producers?
Well, we have to do a better job with trade with their neighbors. That's why I supported TPP and more trade with Europe. But we can't let ourselves be held hostage to a country that doesn't treat us fairly. Now, granted, I do want to trade with them with our agriculture, but we have to look at this in totality. I think you just can't be myopic on this. But on the good side, China has increased their agriculture imports from us by 8% this year. So that's a good news. I like to sustain that, but we can't ignore the other things either.
Let me ask you about Social Security. Someone just entering the workforce now, or maybe somebody in their 50s, should they be confident Social Security will be there for them?
If we have good leadership in Congress, the answer is yes. I want to sustain and protect Social Security for our senior citizens. I think it's an important program. I want to sustain it for those who are nearing it now, but also for those who are younger. But we can't think the system has to be exactly the way it is today, because it can't. The math just don't work. There was a study done that folks who are around 10 years old will live till they're 90, right? And I heard Senator Sass talking about that. So the math doesn't work. We have to modify as our demographics change. And it's a positive change. I'm glad we're living longer, right? That's what we want to see.
Is civility dead?
I hope not. I mean, I work very well with my colleagues here in the House. We are in a campaign, and I find you got to try to balance selling our own record and my accomplishments, but we also have to be candid what our opponent stands for. If I don't do it, oftentimes nobody else will. But there's a level of decorum that we got to sustain. But I have worked hard in the House to build relationships. That's why I'm in these bipartisan caucuses. And in the end, after Election Day, you have to shake hands and start working together for our country.
But it's been another heated campaign between Bacon and challenger Kara Eastman. Accusations are flying between the two. But we're sticking to the issues. And up next, you'll hear Eastman's views, including her defense of a Medicare for All plan for health care. You're watching KETV News Watch 7's Chronicle.